Of history inside Hilton Coliseum. It's not often that this building sees a first anymore, but Alaska Anchorage Gymnastics comes to town for the first time today to take on Iowa State. Hello everybody and welcome inside James H. Hilton Coliseum on the campus of Iowa State University in Ames. Alongside the All-American gymnast Andrea Maldonado, I'm Noah Wolf. It's a pleasure to have you with us on this balmy Sunday afternoon in central Iowa. And it's getting late in the gymnastics season. Crucial to put up some good scores at this point in the year. Alaska Anchorage is leaning on their senior team captain, Rachel Deschus.
Yeah, Rachel Deschus excels on the floor, scoring a 9.8 last weekend. And then she also scored a 9.85 on the beam on January 15th. So she has a lot of potential going into this competition to wow the crowd here at Hilton Coliseum.
Deschus has 4 event wins in 2 different events this year. On the other side, Iowa State has their floor specialist in Maddie Diab. In their 7 events this year, she's won the floor 5 times.
Yeah, let's look at her average. Right now she's a 9.91. That means that she has scored several times consecutive 9.95, time after time after time. So, you know, for this one, we just got to sit back, relax, and watch. She's going to wow us all, as always.
She scored a 10 on the floor last year, and she's trying to match that career high sometime this season. Who knows? Maybe it'll come tonight. Iowa State hosts Alaska Anchorage for the first time at Hilton Coliseum just this. Iowa State returns home after a Friday victory at Lindenwood. Anchorage also coming off a win at Simpson College. 2 teams meeting up for the second time in program history tonight at Hilton Coliseum. Alongside Andrea Maldonado, I'm Noah Wolf. So glad you could join us. We're just moments away from rotation 1. Iowa State begins on the vault, and Ana Palacios will get us started.
Beautiful Jurchenko full to a little bit of a hop, but that is a great landing overall for Ana, a great icebreaker. And I think, you know, she's gotten a lot better ever since she started competing this fall, a lot more confident, a lot more height, and then you see their confident landing as well.
Rachel Deschus next up on the bars, first up on the bars for Alaska Anchorage. You see their full lineup there. Deschus, a senior from Mesa, Arizona. She'll be competing in 3 events this afternoon.
I'm really excited to see Anchorage compete tonight. It's a beautiful Jaeger to a connection bail. As I was saying, I'm really excited to see them compete tonight because they were at a risk of being cut as a program back when 2020 hit, you know, COVID. And it's just really exciting to see a program thrive just like that. You know, me talking Grace into them, she just stuck her landing, and that is amazing for Deschus right there.
We go to Lauren Cook on the vault for Iowa State.
Jurchenko full, straight line, stuck landing for Cook. That must be really exciting. You know, she's been working hard on this vault, and it's just looking to pay off right now. Look at this. Height, length, stuck landing.
A 9.775, her career high. What can we expect from that score?
Honestly, I would assume over a 9.85. I mean, from where I'm sitting, I didn't see any like big deductions. I mean, that vault starts from 9.95. So if she scores a 9.8, I mean, that's pretty solid.
Palacios got Iowa State started with a 9.725 on the vault. Alaska Anchorage has Alyssa Manley up next, a sophomore from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Manley also competing in 3 events. We'll see her on the vault and the floor. She's won the uneven bars event in 3 of Anchorage's meets this season. She won the events both times against William and Mary 2 weeks ago, and then on Friday night at Simpson. A talented bars performer.
I'm so excited to see her. I mean, as a sophomore, she brings a lot of depth to the lineup and confidence to it as well. So hopefully she can land her routine and lines tonight. keep that streak of success going.
She's waiting for the green flag, and she won't get it quite yet. The two judges need to meet up and chat.
Yeah, that chat is always the icebreaker.
This happens, if I'm correct, when there's a bigger score discrepancy than the judges are expecting?
Right. Usually when you miss a requirement or there's a bigger deduction or like a difference between both judging panels, that's when the judges meet in the middle. Oh my goodness, in the middle. I'm so sorry. To kind of discuss where they're at and see where they can go from there.
Just leads to a longer waiting period for Alyssa Manley, and if there's any nerves, I'm sure that doesn't help.
Right. It's just always so nerve-wracking to wait for the judges to kind of give you the go to do their job. But the key to it is just maintain your cool and do your job. Nice blind full to a Tkachev inside of the bar, which is very unique for college gymnastics. That was a beautiful pause in her handstand right there to her bail. And now winding up for her dismount. Blind change to a double pike. Just a little bit of a step, but honestly, I feel like that was a really good routine.
What'd you like about the dismount?
I used to do that dismount, so I think it's a very unique dismount that kind of keeps you grounded, and it's not that complicated to do.
Kelsey Boychuk finishes her vault for the Cyclones.
That was a very, very good vault for Kelsey. We're gonna go in here and see how she takes off from the table. Takes a little bit of a hop, but you know, with all that power coming from the air, I don't think it's very easy to maintain your control during that landing. She is known for having the ability to do 1.5, but her fulls are just spectacular. And to prevent injuries at this point in the season, it's better to maintain it a little bit more simple.
Annalie Walker, the next to go for Alaska Anchorage. On the bars, a 9.225 season average. She's capable of a 9.675. Walker, a sophomore from Saskatoon in Saskatchewan.
Beautiful handstands right there. Winding up her Jaeger. It was a little bit away from the bar, but she managed to continue that routine flawlessly, going into her pack salto and an under transition at the lower bar. Blind full, toe on, and a front dismount. That dismount is very unique because not a lot of people do it, needless to say, but the landing of it can be very dangerous as you don't see the floor until you land on it. So
Josie Bergstrom takes off for the vault.
She tries to fight for that stick, but you know, overall still a very good vault for Josie. Josie has really long lines, and she takes off from the table right here and explodes into her full. I feel like she wanted that stick really, really bad, but she didn't quite get it.
Bergstrom has a season high of a 9.85 on the vault. She won the event in the tri-meet at Texas Women's College on the 5th of February, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I believe watching that vault, and I think it was a stuck landing. It was pretty solid, and she was just very happy to have that performance under her belt.
9.7s so far for Iowa State, a 9.7 exactly for Kelsey Boychuk, 9.725 for Laura Cook and Ana Irene Palacios thus far. Haley Perkins next up on the uneven bars. She's somewhat of a low average, but she can get up there in the scores, a 9.75, her career high early on this season.
You know, on this event, a lot of unpredictable mistakes can get to you. As little bit as a handstand to a step into the landing. So I believe it's the key to bars is keeping yourself under control and consistency throughout the routine for you to have a steady score streak throughout the season. Starting on the low bar, she's going to do a combination onto the high bar, directly onto the low bar. She lands a little bit on top of the bar. She does manage to continue her routine. A little bit short on that handstand right there. Blind and then a double tuck. A little bit of a low chest, and you can see she's a little bit disappointed with her performance, but I wouldn't want her to sell herself short because, I mean, it can be very hard to compete bars time after time, and then just she has pretty hard skills in that routine too.
Here's Kaya Parker for the Cyclones.
Beautiful vault for Kaya. You can see that amazing flare as soon as she's about to hit the ground. That just tells you how much control she has over her own vault right here. Look at this. Take off, flare, and then she really wanted that stuck landing. She took a little bit of a step, and the judges might see that, but overall, she's been pretty consistent throughout the season, and she should be really happy with this vault.
Parker just competed in the vault. She'll compete in floor a little bit later on this afternoon. Paula Ruano Barona next up for Alaska Anchorage, the freshman from San Salvador. She's made it as far as a 9.6 this season on the uneven bars. We'll see her in 3 events. Starts on the uneven bars. We'll also see her on the vaults and the balance beam. And she's competed on floor this season as well, not doing the all-around tonight.
It can be pretty hard on some athletes when you do all-around all the time.
No all-around competitors for either side tonight.
No. Beautiful hop to blind change right there into her Jaeger straddle. Pot salto. She had a little bit of separation in her legs as soon as she came onto the low bar. Now she's winding up for her dismount. She's going to do a blind full to a double tuck. And that's a pretty good landing for her. I mean, a little bit of a step backwards, but backwards means you have a little bit too much power. So that's a benefit for her moving forward in the season.
As she continues her collegiate career, the freshman can figure out how to hone that power. Here's Emily Hong, the anchor on vault for Iowa State.
Competing only a full this time. Usually she's known for being the anchor and throwing that 10-0 vault, 1.5. But today I feel like it was a safe move to have her do a Jurchenko full. Takes off the vault. Flares a little bit, super excited after that performance.
Emily Hong has 2 event wins in the vaults this season, including one at Hilton Coliseum in the tri-meet against Eastern Michigan and UC Davis, meet in which Iowa State finished first of 3. Alaska Anchorage finishes up on the uneven bars with Marcella Bonifaci.
going on to her release move right here, the Jaeger pike. You see how she doesn't separate her legs onto her handstands? That's very hard to do, to be completely honest. It takes a lot of pressure for you to get up there, and she is doing really well at this today. A double layout. Unfortunately, she had a fall right there, and you can see that she's a little bit upset, but I think moving on to the season, she could gain some more control of that double layout and actually land and stick that dismount.
We're through one rotation from Hilton Coliseum this afternoon. Iowa State goes to the bars and Alaska Anchorage to the vault when we return. Complete in Hilton Coliseum, and we're moments away from rotation 2. Alongside Andrea Maldonado, I'm Noah Wolf. We're joined now by the Alaska Anchorage head coach Marie-Sophie Bogash, and it's been a sort of tumultuous time since you took over. You had to save your program from the chopping block.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
We were tasked with fundraising 2 years worth of our operating budget, which was $888,000, and we had a little under 2 years to do it, and we rallied the troops. We truly did it as a team, and the legacy continues for all those who fought with us and are now graduating or have graduated, and then of course for our future gymnasts who finally get this chance despite being on that chopping block and having such rough 2 years.
Right. So after all that hardship and, experiences being, having to save the program, how does it feel to be in Hilton for the first time ever?
It's a very special year for us. I think we truly are looking at it as a building year because we finally have that future. We finally are having that next year. The last 2 years, we didn't know that. So we're really focusing on our depth this year. We're really focusing on our start values. And we're really, really happy to be able to compete in such a big facility. This is probably the biggest arena that we're competing in this year. So it's a special moment for our team.
Yeah, and so after bars, you had a little bit of a hiccup. How do you propose you're going to move forward from those?
So our viewers can actually know the intel now because our anchor, she wasn't supposed to compete this weekend on bars. We had to sub her in last minute. So honestly, the first 5 were kind of our core lineup. They hit. And we just gave Maddie the opportunity as an exhibition almost because our true anchor is unfortunately out this competition. So we were really happy with it, and her making that routine almost, she was so close. That was a good moment for her. She's going to need a little bit more practice, which is why we put her last, take the pressure off. The first 5 hit. We left the door open for a couple deductions, but we can step it up in the dismount area for sure, taking a smaller step next time. But really happy with the first 5. That was our core lineup, so we're looking forward to the last 3 rotations with our full strength.
Well, I'm really happy you guys are here, and I hope you have the best time here at Hilton Coliseum.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having us.
Of course.
That was Marie-Sophie Bogash, the head coach of Alaska Anchorage in her second season at the helm of the Seawolves squad. We're through rotation 1 tonight at Hilton Coliseum of an eventual 4, and you get 6 gymnasts per team in each event. The top 5 scores count. Iowa State will compete bars, beam, and floor next. They've already taken down the vault, whereas Alaska Anchorage has had their time on the bars. They go vault next into floor and beam. And it's you see it, the team with the highest cumulative score wins. At this point of the gymnastics season, it's really any point of the gymnastics season, it's less about wins and losses and more about getting that average score up. That national qualifying score comes into play here soon. And so whether or not these two teams are, really in competition to win against each other, it's more about can they compete at their best. They're competing against themselves more than they are against each other.
The NQS at this point is kind of becoming crucial because you have only 5 more meets until the regular season is over, and you want to be able to count the best meets of the season. So if you have a little bit of a bad scoring streak throughout the season, then you're not going to be able to place well going into nationals.
Iowa State comes into this meet at 7-4. They just won at Lindenwood on Friday night. with a 195-575 team score. Alaska Anchorage, meanwhile, has won 2 dual meets in a row after losing their first 6. Had a season-high 193.7 against William and Mary 2 weeks ago, and then defeated Simpson with a 185-775. And as we just heard from Coach Bogosh, it's a rebuilding time for Alaska Anchorage, but they say that with confidence that they have, something to be building toward. They have a program for the future.
Right. Starting with the fact that they have a program altogether, that is something to build off of. So moving into future seasons, they're going to shake off that, bad batch of having to be on the chopping block for so long, and then they're going to be able to build up from there and truly do the recruiting they need to get to where they want to be.
You see their season recap on the screen, a 189-679 average. But 2 weeks ago, they scored their season high, and that's important, trending in the right direction, like you're talking about, getting higher scores later on in the season and making sure that you're performing at your best so that those best scores can count.
Yeah, it's all about peaking time, and at this point, if you peak too early in the season, then it's just going to go a little bit lower every time. But if you're building and building and building, it's like going up a staircase, You're just stepping and learning and just going up to the ladder onto the top. So I'm really hopeful for this team in the future because they deserve it.
We've got an extended warm-up period right now as Alaska Anchorage warming up on the vault. There was some difficulty with the apparatus during warm-ups, so they've got that fixed and added a few minutes to the touch warm-ups inside Hilton. But yeah, you've talked about it for this Alaska Anchorage team, and we just heard from Coach Bogosh. This is a special season for them, and they said it. It's a special event tonight at Hilton, performing in such a big arena. Here you see the Cyclones vault scores. Kaya Parker with the event high, a 9.85 for her. Nears her season and career high of a 9.875, but good scores for the Cyclones all around.
Yeah, the Cyclones are just mostly looking for consistency going into the rest of the season and preparing for postseason. Having talked to the coaches and some of the girls, at some point they lack a little bit of variety due to injuries or whatever the reason may be. So having them truly just create a consistent line every single time they go up into the vault lineup is just a win for them altogether.
So Iowa State posts those scores on the vault, and Alaska Anchorage will take the vault next. The Cyclones head to the uneven bars for rotation 2 inside Hilton Coliseum. There you see Alaska Anchorage's scores on the bars, led by Alyssa Manley, who matches a season high with a 9.775. And it was Madeline Gomez, the anchor for Alaska Anchorage, not Marcella Bonifaci. A last-second switch there for the Seawolves. But other than her, who we heard had a last-second switch, 9 4s and above for the Seawolves. They've got to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I'd be pretty excited, to be completely honest. To have been able to hit that many routines without that many mistakes is altogether a win.
The extended warm-up period has wrapped up, and we turn our attention to the vault, where Alaska Anchorage will give it a run. See the 6 competitors there, beginning with Madeline Gomez, the freshman from Dixon, California, in her second of 3 events. She finished up on the uneven bars. She was the 6th competitor there. She becomes the first competitor on the vault for Alaska Anchorage.
Coming in with a Jurchenko full in tucked form. She has a pretty decent takeoff right here. She kind of bends her elbows a little bit, and her chest was a little low on the landing. but I feel like those are one of those vaults that have the potential to go up in every practice, 100%.
Madeline Langkamp, the grad student from Lannon, Wisconsin, in her one and only event tonight.
She has been the consistent icebreaker for the Cyclones for the past, let's say, 3 years now. So to see her continuing to be the icebreaker for this lineup is very exciting. She's hitting everything in this routine, winds up for her dismount. And that was a great routine for Maddie. It took a little bit of a slight hop, but I mean, look at how flawless this is from beginning to end. Legs are glued together, and then she just kind of had a little bit of a balance check right there.
Very excited after her routine, plenty to be excited about.
Oh yeah.
Alyssa Manley was Alaska Anchorage's top competitor on the uneven bars. She'll give the vault a run. Her second of 3 events tonight.
Another Jurchenko full on top form. You know, it's very interesting when you see all these vaults in this manner. You can see she started twisting a little bit early right onto the vault table. You want to be able to take off from the vault before you start twisting. That way you have a little bit more control in your landing. But as I was saying, I feel like these vaults are just like a baseline for them to grow into a layout, a 1.5, and then just a bigger vault altogether.
Logan Boswell has had a very consistent season in her 2 events on the uneven bars and the balance beam, where we'll see her later tonight.
Logan has every potential to score the highest score in this lineup. You can see how her legs and lines are so smooth and so long. She's gonna wind up to her dismount right here. Beautiful handstands. Double layout to a step. And she is really happy. I feel like that is growing to be one of her best routines of the season so far.
Back to the vault, Ariana D'Souza.
Pretty consistent Jurchenko layout. You can see her lines extend in the middle of the air. And she has a pretty good landing to this vault, so she should be expecting a pretty good score for a vault that starts a little bit under 995.
D'Souza's season high on the vault is a 9.575. She's been a pretty consistent competitor with a season average of just over 9.5.
Judges are preparing over there to see her final score.
Lauren Thomas gets the green flag to take the uneven bars for Iowa State.
I love Lauren's lines in this event. She is very long and very poised. She landed a little bit close in her Jaeger right there. And she had a little bit of a separation on her Pat Salto. But you can see how her control takes over as she's able to maintain herself in that handstand position. Winding up for her dismount right here. And that is a really good routine for Lauren. Dismount. A little bit of a step. I don't know if that was a step or a hop, but that will be a certain deduction right there. Small deduction at that.
Celia Hildebrand for Alaska Anchorage.
A handspring front onto the vault, and she looks stoked to be able to do this vault, to be able to perform here. Even in her run, she looks absolutely confident. She looks happy, and I believe that was a pretty good vault for her as well.
Hildebrand, a sophomore from Yakima, Washington. looking to match or best a career-high 9.625. Meanwhile, on bars for Iowa State, Natalie Horowitz next to compete.
Next on bars for Iowa State, it'll be Kelly Horowitz.
A 9.33 average, but she can rack up the scores, a 9.825 this season.
In my opinion, she could go even higher than that. I feel like we haven't stumbled across the right judges to give her what she deserves.
She's had a career high 9.925.
Look at these lines. Jaeger coming right up. She goes a little bit close onto the bar, but she is so experienced in this lineup that she's able to keep it moving like nothing ever happened. Beautiful handstands, preparing on to her dismount. Double A out. You can tell she wanted that stuck landing, but again, when individuals have a step backwards or hop backwards, that sometimes can mean they have a little bit too much power, and you can tell right here. She's like, whoop, I want it to stay in that spot, but it's a little bit over-rotated.
Montana Fairbairn, a sophomore from Alberta, will head to the vault. We'll also see her on the balance beam later this afternoon. She's won the vault in 2 events this season for Alaska Anchorage.
That was a really unique vault. You can tell she did a half on to the table, and then she did a front flip onto the landing mat right there. I believe those vaults to be pretty scary, but she did it with no problems at all. Actually, I mistook myself. She landed backwards, but she did half on, half off from the vault table.
Fifth competitor out of 6 on the uneven bars for Iowa State, Hannah Loyam.
Hannah is an outstanding bar worker. She has exceptional work ethic, and she really strives for perfection right here. Every single time she steps into the bar, she just really gives it her best to compete to the best of her abilities. She had a little bit of a mishap right there on her pot salto, but she'll make up for it in her dismount. You can see that with a stuck landing. If she didn't have that mishap in the middle of her routine, that would have been a huge score for Hannah.
Still a score she's going to be happy with.
Oh, 100%. I mean, after a mishap like that, you should be happy at yourself that you're able to come back from it every single time.
Anchoring Alaska Anchorage's vault lineup is Allie McClure in her 1 event tonight. The sophomore from Oakley, Idaho, has a season high of 9.425, a career high of 9.725 on this event.
Another Yurchenko full on tuck. She was a little bit high onto the vault table, so she wasn't able to explode off the table as she would want to. You can see how she has her arms straight into the vault and barely her hands are pushing off of it. So that's why she had the unfortunate landing she just experienced.
Iowa State's bars anchor, Laura Cook. She's won this event twice, including Friday night.
There he goes into her pack salto right there. Handstand transition. Winds up for her dismount. See if she lands it. Beautiful routine for Cook. I feel like that is a pretty solid routine they can use to drop the lowest score of this lineup. and she has proven herself to be very consistent every time, so that's why she has earned her newfound anchor spot in this lineup.
We're halfway home at Hilton Coliseum. We say goodbye to the vault and bars and head to the beam and floor for rotation 3. After this, from Hilton Coliseum. Halfway through the gymnastics meet, the dual meet between Iowa State and Alaska Anchorage at Hilton Coliseum on this Sunday afternoon in central Iowa. Iowa State with a 2-point lead halfway through. Alongside Andrea Maldonado, I'm Noah Wolf. We're joined now by Iowa State head coach Jay Ronayne. Jay, your team coming off of a Friday night dual meet victory. How do you feel like your scores are progressing this way through the season?
We are getting better scores as we're progressing. And I'm pleased with the progress our team is making. Every outing we're a little bit better, and that's exactly what I ask them every day, is to get it a little bit better every day. I'm not displeased with my team at all.
So how are you handling the second double meet weekend of the season? You know, double meet weekends can be very complicated on the body. So
it is. It's very taxing on bodies. We had to try to alter what we do for warm-ups and what personnel we put in, and shuffle the lineups a little bit. So it's a management strategy that we hope will keep them strong through the rest of this meet.
So coming off of a decent bar lineup, because you guys have been a little bit struggling into this lineup throughout the season, but you can see the difference now. How does that make you feel, and how do you think that's going to move forward throughout the season?
Yeah, right now we're hitting routines on bars. As a full squad, we had struggled with that early on. It was like we'd hit 3 and we'd miss 3. We'd hit 2 and miss the rest. So now we're hitting all routines. They're just not as precise as they have been in the gym. So we're going to continue to work on that. It's a little frustrating to our athletes as well as us coaches when it's a little bit different in public than it is in the gym. So it's something we got to continually work on. It's the mental game that's the hardest part of this whole thing.
Yeah, I guess my advice would be to keep your head up and keep enjoying this season, because it's going really well for you guys.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for your time, Coach. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
That was Iowa State head coach Jay Ronayne. His Iowa State team just finished their rotation on the uneven bars, and they head to the balance beam next. Iowa State hosting Alaska Anchorage for the first time at Hilton Coliseum, and you see the Cyclone scores on the bars, paced by Madeline Langkamp and Logan Boswell with a pair of 9.8s for the Cyclones.
Yeah, I think, as I was telling Jay, I feel like this has been a very decent and well put together lineup. Throughout the season, we have seen them struggle in the bars, but I feel like they're coming to their peaking moment and key times where the routines are there, the effort is there, and it's really showing how it's paying off.
Logan Boswell matches a season high with that 9.8 on the uneven bars. Here's how the Seawolves did on the vault. Celia Hildebrand and Montana Fairbairn with team highs at 9.6. Fairbairn right at about her average. And Hildebrand nears a season high with that 9.6. She's had a 9.675 this season, which also is her career high. You can see that along with their bars scores. Able to drop a 9.0, able to drop an 8, and put together a good group of scores for this team.
Yeah, and I feel like that is what head coach from Anchorage was talking about. Having the ability to build a team is able, is having also the ability to drop scores, So when it comes down to putting up your best routines, you have a little bit of a margin of error right there that you're able to play with. And I feel like that is a good step in the right direction for Anchorage, right, in this competition.
You see Iowa State's beam lineup. Lauren Thomas getting the final pep talk before she mounts the beam. She'll be joined by some familiar names. most of whom have already competed in at least one event so far tonight. Actually, all of whom have competed in at least one event tonight. Lauren Thomas won the balance beam event a week ago when Central Michigan came to town for the Beauty and the Beast meet at Hilton Coliseum.
Yeah, that was really exciting to see, and today we're once more going to experience her poise and level of skills in this event. Fun fact, this song we're hearing right now is personalized to her routine. Cyclones have the ability to play whatever song they like during their beam routines to keep them in the zone, you know, and make it feel as if they're in practice.
That's the home meet advantage.
So far, so good, this routine for Lauren. Beautiful leap combination, solid and consistent. Winding up for a dismount right here. Round up 1.5 to a very good landing. That is the routine Lauren wanted to come back from, you know? Having not been able to go to the last meet this weekend, she was hoping for a really good routine and icebreaker, and so she did.
Madeline Gomez already in progress on the floor for Alaska Anchorage.
Double tuck right here, really good landing. Coming from the warm-ups, I'm very pleased with these choreographies and songs. They're very interactive with the team and the crowd, and a lot of the athletes seems to be enjoying themselves.
That's what it's all about.
Well, of course. I guess sometimes some routines are more interactive and active than others. On to her second pass, front handspring, 1.5 to a straddle jump. The judges might take a little bit of deductions for amplitude on her leap and some soft legs, but altogether she has been doing pretty well. On to her third and last pass. 1.5 to a layout. She steps backwards, so on those passes where you're going forward, you want to step forward. Show control and that you're going in the right direction, essentially. But I feel like this was a good icebreaker for the Anchorage. They have a good lineup coming on to this event. I feel like this is their best event so far. So I'm pretty excited to see what they have to show.
Kelsey Boychuk steps onto the beam for Iowa State.
Kelsey is a veteran in this event. So whenever she steps onto it, she just excels at showing her leadership and skill sets. Are filled with difficulty. Coming into her acro series right here. She nails it. First few years I was here at Iowa State, she did a triple series. So you can see how much more she's capable in this routine. This sight semi is absolutely perfect. She doesn't even have to put any effort to do it. It's just floats. Onto her dismount. Gainer full, and she sticks that landing. That's a really good routine for Kelsey. You can see she's pretty happy with it.
In floor exercise.
Alaska Anchorage on the floor. Mackenzie Robinson. Her first event of 2 tonight for Alaska Anchorage.
I'm excited to see this routine. During warm-ups, this was really exciting to watch. She has a lot of power. Double back 2. A good backward step, but I feel like she was a little bit over rotated, so you could see that she was trying to keep it together. And over there, a little sassy smirk for her teammates. Good leap pass. On to her second pass, 1.5, lay out, effortless. You can see her interacting with her teammates as she gets ready for her last pass. Or maybe not, that was the end of it, and she did phenomenal. She did really good job. She must be really happy with that performance. You know, being able to stay inbounds, and look at this last pass. She had tons of height and space to take a controlled step and finish her routine.
Josie Bergstrom, her beam routine already in progress for Iowa State.
Josie never ceases to amaze me in this event. She always has something new to bring to the table. Since she missed that connection right there, she's gonna be able to adjust for her accuracy. She had a little bit of an unfortunate, you know, fall right there, but that doesn't keep her from actually showing beautiful lines, and altogether just a really good routine. You know, mistakes happen, and that doesn't really define the kind of athlete you are. She is an extremely talented beam performer and altogether an amazing gymnast. And we have been able to see that throughout the season. One mistake tonight doesn't really show what she's capable of. You can see she's not too happy with it, but I think she did good in finishing that routine with a good dismount, good leap series, just altogether a good attitude, you know?
Got to be able to finish strong even when mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Throughout the event.
It's the beauty of it. You can't let everybody know that you're upset on top of the beam and let yourself down when you're on top of the beam, because that can also hinder your abilities to move forward and continue staying on the event. So I feel like the Cyclones have made pretty clear that they are able to move on from their mistakes and continue strong and finish whatever event they are on.
Celia Hildebrand is getting ready to take the floor for Alaska Anchorage. Hildebrand, a sophomore from Yakima, Washington. There was a conversation between the judges about the score that's headed to Mackenzie Robinson whenever that comes across. With that discussion over.
She got a good 9-7. On to her first pass. Front tuck, rounded back handspring to a double pike. She steps out of bounds, unfortunately, but she had the space and height to control, like have more control on that pass right there. Beautiful leaps. And from those leaps, we can tell that she's going to do a 2-pass routine.
The music to my ears sounds like a SpongeBob SquarePants tribute.
Yes. It's very fun and playful, so. You can see her little performance right here. I feel like active performances like this make you kind of forget what just happened. So if you had a bad landing or you thought to your head that you could have done better, playful performances like this are kind of like, well, I get to show off and dance now. Overall, really good routine for her. I believe this is her last pass right here. She's a little short coming off of the takeoff. She managed to stay on her feet.
Natalie Horowitz heads to the beam for Iowa State.
Nat has worked so hard to be on this lineup. There you can see another a little bit of a balance check, which breaks her acro series. So somewhere in this routine, she's gonna have to improvise and add or repeat her acro series. That way her starting value doesn't decrease by a whole ton. Natalie has really long and sharp lines. So when it comes down to beam, she excels on showing those skills to just perform on this event and show her length and confidence. Getting ready for her dismount here. Gainer full with a little bit of a hop, and her chest is a little bit low, but other than that, I feel like she came back from this routine really
well. Alaska Anchorage sends Ariana D'Souza to the floor, the freshman from Fairfield, California.
Getting ready for her first pass here. Front double full, which is an E pass. That's probably one of the highest difficulties in the floor exercise that we're going to see throughout the night, other than Maddie Diab. Just gonna back to her initial corner and do her second pass. Front handspring Rudy. She absolutely lands her leap connection. The judges might be a little picky and take away from that amplitude, but so far, so great. Last pass, 1.5 to lay out, and she had an unfortunate step out of bounds, but again, so much power that it's just a little bit more complicated to control. You can see a replay right here. 1.5 to lay out, and then whoops. It's okay, it happens to the best of us.
Logan Boswell mounts the balance beam, trying to match a season and career high 9.9.
I've always said that Logan has the potential to have a perfect score on the balance beam. Her precision is just always right on. And maybe I'm speaking a little bit too fast in this event, but every time I've said that the athlete does very well, they somehow miss a connection. But again, they go back and redo it and make it even better. So, you know, there's nothing to be mad at this point. She should be pretty happy. That was a perfect backhand spring layout step out. She's just cruising throughout this routine. Now this is the very last bit of her routine right here. She's gonna do a cartwheel into side gainer full. You can tell she really wanted that stuck landing, but she fought for it, took a little bit of a step forward, and finished. An awesome routine.
Alyssa Manley next up on the floor for Alaska Anchorage. Consistent competitor for the Seawolves with a 9.538 average, near her season high of a 9.75.
She has had a really good competition so far. You know, having a really good bar routine, a really good vault, and hopefully a great floor routine. She should be really happy with herself and her performance tonight, because she has just come out and just had the best time, showed us the best of her performances. So
scored a 9.4 on the vault, Manley did earlier, as well as a 9.775, a team high on the uneven bars, which matched the season high.
getting ready for her first pass right here. Huge double pike with a really controlled landing. Remember what I told you about those random skills that are in the middle of a routine? Those are potentials to just cut the routine a little bit shorter into a two-pass routine. That way she's not missing any requirements or any leaps. Second pass right here. Beautiful connection. I don't think I've ever seen a pass like that. So there she gets all the bonuses she needed to just end this routine and not have to do 3 passes. So it was one heck of a connection right there. Beautiful routine for her. It was really exciting to see this performance for her. Like at her double pike right here. Very good height, very good control.
Hannah Loyam finishes up Iowa State's turn on the balance beam.
Hannah, again, such an outstanding performer in every event, really. But on the beam, you can really see all her effort pay off, all her lines come together, and just her skill sets just play out as planned. Again, a very inspiring song for her beam routine. Front aerial to a beat jump, straight into her dance. Just showing control and poise. Winding up for her dismount right here, side gainer full. And a really good routine for Hannah. We should be expecting a really, really good score for her right here. It was a very small margin of deductions during this routine, so
Loyam capable of a 9.9. She's only hit a 9.8 this season. Maybe that one might get her closer to her career high.
Let's hope so.
Alaska Anchorage is anchored by Rachel Decius on the floor.
Our featured player right here.
And this her best event. This in the balance beam has a season high at a 9.85 this year.
I believe we're about to experience something great. First pass. Front Rudy. She had control, a little bit under rotated, but continued to maintain that pass under control. Really good choreography. Beautiful 180 leaps right here. Just feeding off of her teammates' energy at the corner. Front layout, front full. Close to the lineup. Close to the line, but not out of bounds. So that's exactly what she needed. Last pass right here. 1.5 layout. And you can see where the 9.8s come from. She is absolutely amazing. Very good routine for Decius. You can tell her teammates are really excited as well. This is her second pass right here. Last pass. 1.5 to layout, and then simply just step out of it.
Her teammate Alyssa Manley just scored a season high. Perhaps Rachel Decius has one coming on the floor as well. That wraps up rotation 3 from Hilton Coliseum. Cyclones to the floor, Seawolves to the beam when we return.
My experience as a Cyclone has been a dream come true. I was practically born a Cyclone fan. I remember just on Saturdays or Friday nights, he would put on the Iowa State football game. Iowa State would be on TV for gymnastics. I would watch the meets, and he's still super close with all of his teammates. And he just kind of said it was the culture here, and it's like a family. And one of the main reasons I came there was just seeing that culture and wanting to be a part of it.
Maddie has completely exceeded our family's expectations. It was such a blessing for her to be able to go to Iowa State and be part of the team. We were just hoping she could practice with the girls and maybe get in 1 or 2 meets in her career, and she just has been on fire.
It's unique having, all of us do gymnastics, but it's really fun because we all kind of understand each other, and it gave us an extra bond. Because they weren't only my siblings, but they were my teammates as well, so it was really fun.
They all grew up watching their older brothers and sisters go away to meets, and how much fun that was. And for me, it's a connection that I have with my kids where I can kind of have conversations with them. It starts with, hey, how'd practice go today? And it turns into maybe a little bit of help that I can provide by helping them with some of the psychological stuff, how to train, how to compete. And it really connects our whole family.
What was going through your mind when you got home?
Gosh, I just remember I was sitting down, I knew I did a great routine, and I knew Andrea went right before me and did a phenomenal routine, and she just really set me up well, and that whole meet was so exciting. I think that was our highest scoring meet, and being in Hilton, closing it out. Really excited going into my routine. I finished, and I knew I hit a great set, but it kind of just felt like, you know, a very similar set to what I normally do. I mean, obviously, like, I hit it and I was like, I don't see what they can deduct me on, but we'll see. And then I just kind of sat down and I was sitting next to Jess, and I just remember Jess like picked me up and threw me in the air.
That is such a rare accomplishment. And Maddie had been doing really good floor routines, and I was like in chills when she got the 10. And the best part about the whole thing was seeing the joy that she had, and the joy and the love from all of her teammates and her coaches.
It was so exciting. Doing it in Hilton was like so meaningful, just because like in front of a home crowd and everything. Yeah, it was amazing.
Maddie Diab and Iowa State will take the floor in this rotation as Alaska Anchorage heads to the beam to wrap up this dual meet from Hilton Coliseum in Ames, Iowa. Alongside the All-American gymnast Andrea Maldonado, I'm Noah Wolf. So glad you could join us on this Sunday evening in Ames as the Cyclones just wrapped up their time on the balance beam, paced by Hannah Loyam, a 9.85 for Loyam, which is near her season high of a 9.875. Good scores all around for Iowa State on the beam, as Alaska Anchorage had 3 scores at a 9.7 or higher on the floor, paced by Alyssa Manley with a season high of 9.8.
Yeah, I feel like both teams are doing really well under this environment. They are just showing and performing how they would want to. Of course, there are always going to be a little bit of a mistake here and there, but I feel like both teams have been able to recover nicely from, you know, every unpredictable mishap that has gone so far.
Both teams on pace to best their season average for total score. Alaska Anchorage heads to the balance beam to finish that job. Montana Fairbairn will get things started for the Seawolves.
That mount reminded me of when I was doing beam on my very early days of gymnastics. I used to do that mount, and is a lot more nerve-wracking than it looks like.
Looks pretty nerve-wracking for me. I mean, having to hop up there and land with your momentum on
so
a,
far,
what, 6-inch wide beam?
Yeah, no, 4, actually.
4, there
yes.
you go.
I feel like she is having a lot of fun in this event. You can see her smiling and just making her movements and arms very long and very sharp. Preparing for her acro series right here. She does a back handspring connected into a side aerial, which is very unique when you don't want to go backwards twice. So getting ready for her dismount. And that was a beautiful landing from Montana right there. She stuck her dismount and really sealed the deal for this amazing beam routine.
She's capable of a 9.775 in that routine. We'll see what the judges have to say a little later.
This should be a 9.75 at most.
Meanwhile, to the floor for Iowa State, Kelsey Boychuk is ready to get the Cyclones started. Boychuk
Kelsey.
averaging, a 9.7 this year, capable of a 9.85.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that throughout the 3 or 4 years I've been here, Kelsey has been a consistent opener for the Cyclones. And you're about to see why. I mean, she's so powerful. Going into her first pass right here. Absolutely enormous double pike to a controlled landing. You can see the crowd getting a little bit engaged in this routine. Second pass right here. 1.5 to front layout. Effortlessly. Beautiful leaps. They were 100% over the 180 mark. So the judges have no doubts to take any type of deductions right there. You can see her teammates in the corner just cheering her on. Last pass right here. And she steps backwards. That's all she needed to absolutely start this lineup. And she did it with no problems at all. Last pass right here.
Back to the beam, Mackenzie Robinson getting started for Alaska Anchorage.
Mackenzie had quite the performance on the floor. Now she's onto the beam with an amazing and very, very unique and powerful acro series, a round-off layout. It's very uncommon for NCAA, but she did it with no problem. She has a little bit of a balance check, but I mean, she stayed on the beam. That's all that matters. Very good leaps right there. She's trying to make sure that she gets that connection. Getting ready for a dismount. Round off, 1.5. Stuck landing, the second stuck landing for the anchors right here. I feel like the pressure has been built off to this moment and they're handling it very, very well.
Laura Cook next up on the floor to follow Kelsey Boychuk's 9.85 performance on the floor.
Again, Cook with an E-pass opener right here. Handspring double fold to a stack jump. You know, stack jumps are also kind of known for a little bit of like hiding a step. So you don't have to take a step, you take a jump, and they can't take away from it. So you see wiggle, ladies and gentlemen. You see the white towels right here. It's a showstopper for sure. Getting ready for her last pass. Full turn just to complete her requirements. Cooks it, throws it. There you go. So much fun. Round up, 1.5 to full, and she stays in bounds. She is absolutely in control of her skills, and this is no problem for her. Just one more routine. Here we go with that double full opener. Absolutely gorgeous.
Marcella Bonifaci mounts the balance beam for Alaska Anchorage.
Side aerial, a little bit of a balance check right there. And then she repeats it to complete her acro series. It was a side aerial to a round off, which is the equivalent of a back handspring. Full turn, another little bit of a balance check. You know, for people that aren't necessarily looking into those very tiny details, that could have gone unmissed because she just casually tilted sideways, but if the judges are trying to be very picky, they're going to take that away from her. Beautiful jump series right here. Getting ready for her dismount. gainer to yet another stuck landing, right?
They say sticks are contagious.
I know. Once you get one, you get all of them. So her dismount. Yes, that was a very clear and proud stick for her.
Hopefully the scores can be contagious. 2 9.7s already for Alaska Anchorage, including a 9.775 for Montana Fairbairn. Meanwhile, a couple of 9.8s for Iowa State on the floor, and Hannah Loyam is the third to go in that lineup.
If I'm not mistaken, Hannah will be competing a beautiful double layout today. And she lands it like it's not a big deal. Hannah has great length to her passes, so that's why you notice her choreography is a little bit more slow paced. Getting ready for her last pass here. You can see her teammates just kind of giving her that energy she needs to finish off this routine. 1.5 to lay out, and she misses that connection. We can assume she was a little bit over-rotated on her 1.5 coming onto the connection to a front punch. And that's what caused her to be a little bit off and miss that connection altogether. You can see the replay right here, a little bit off. She managed to stay on her feet, which is an advantage that she has due to her power on this event, but I believe on Friday she'll be able to retake that and do it as she normally does.
Marcella Bonifaci just wrapped up a season high, matched a career high with a 9.725. Now Rachel Deschis tries to keep the train rolling for the Seawolves.
This is where the competition gets a little bit tricky, when the opposing team ends up in beam and they apply a lot of pressure into the home team because they don't miss a beat. So the home team is forced to just put up their best routines, even though that's the initial plan. When you have good performers on beam, that essentially could be a deal breaker. You have to give it your best on those very last 6 routines. Deschis is doing absolutely amazing in this routine so far. Her series, her leaps have been very on point, very poised and controlled. She now goes into her dismount. And yet again, another stuck landing for the Seawolves. That's just amazing and very impressive to see.
Four beam routines, 4 stuck landings for Alaska Anchorage. Now Alondra Maldonado heads to the floor for Iowa State. Saw her score a 9.9 earlier this season and win the event on January 20th in a tri-meet with Eastern Michigan and UC Davis.
She's capable of so much more, and tonight we just got to sit back and enjoy this routine that's full of it's a powerhouse, and the choreography is absolutely beautiful. First pass right here, 1.5. And the height she gets after that Rudy is just impressive every single time. Going on to her last pass right here. She takes a little bit of an under-rotated step forward, but you can still tell she's like, well, this is an easy fix. Continues out with her choreography. And that was an absolutely stunning routine for Alondra. You can see her first pass right here. Layout, Rudy to absolutely off the charts height. And then her double pike, which is a little bit unfortunate that she landed a little bit short. But sometimes when you have all that power, it's kind of like unpredictable where you're gonna land.
Paula Ruano Barona onto the balance beam for Alaska Anchorage.
She had a little bit of a balance check there in her acro series and also on her wolf turn. I mean, wolf turns are very difficult in their nature, but you know, kudos to her to staying on the beam. Beautiful leap series.
No, in this case, I think it's actually a sea-wolf turn, not just a wolf turn.
Okay, that was a great one. I'll take that. On to her dismount. Once again, you know, it's so insane to see all these landings be so contagious. Look at this stuck landing. No move, no hesitation. She just went for it. It's like all of them have glue on their feet.
Alaska Anchorage has to be really pleased with their beam performance so far.
I would be, as a coach and an athlete. I mean, it's amazing. It's hard enough to end on beam and then have all your routines be hit. Exceptional.
Kaya Parker onto the floor, following up Alondra Maldonado's 9.825.
Not too shabby for a short step. First pass right here, front tuck to a double tuck. She kind of flies out of bounds. Again, Kaya has shown an immense amount of power this season. So the trick moving forward is going to be maintaining her control so she can stay in the, inbounds during her routines. Getting ready for her last pass right here. You see a lot of choreography in these two pass routines, which showcases the talent these athletes have to perform. Double pike right here. It is amazing that she stuck this landing, but I feel like she's not going to be pleased with how low her chest was. It's also a worthy note to mention that they come from a double meet weekend, and it can be very tiring on their bodies, and we can kind of see in her routine all throughout her performance, she was showing a little bit of signs of tiredness and just, not her prime routine during this season.
Shannon Farrell finishes up Alaska Anchorage's night.
Another Seawolf turn.
There you go. It's catching on.
Very well done. She had a little bit of a balance check right there, but moves on flawlessly. Front aerial to back handspring. It's a gorgeous acro series right there. Another front aerial to a bead jump. On those ring jumps right there, you have to make sure that your back leg comes as close to your head as possible. If not, you have the potential, you give the judges the potential to take away a big deduction in that jump right there. That was the only routine that was not a stuck landing, but I believe that, you know, she performed this routine to the best of her abilities and excelled at it. She has great form, great lines, and she was able to anchor this lineup flawlessly.
And if that's the score that's dropped, then Alaska Anchorage beats their balance beam average score by about a point for the season.
Yeah. Are you ready for this?
Maddie Diab averaging over a 9.9 on the floor this season. 9.95 her season high. She scored a 10 in this building a year ago.
And currently ranked 27 in the nation. You can tell why she's ranked 27 in the nation right now. She's an absolute powerhouse. There are leaps, beautiful. You see all her teammates running around the corners to just give her the confidence to stay grounded. And it's just a show. This routine is just perfect every time. Getting ready for her last pass right here. One and a half to back, layout, step out, and she just does it again.
Give her the crown, ladies and gentlemen.
Give her the 10 already. You can see all her teammates flashing a 10, the crowd flashing 10s. Absolutely gorgeous, absolutely stunning. No words left to say.
Maddie Diab, another excellent floor routine to finish out Iowa State's trip on the floor and to finish out this meet at Hilton Coliseum today. When we return, we'll have the final scores and wrap-up. Stick around. Unofficial final scores on your screen right now. Both teams beat their season averages. And Alaska Anchorage posts their second highest score of the season with a 192.5. Iowa State a 195.525 with a great floor score at the end to anchor the Cyclones' good performance in their second to last home meet of the season. Tonight's individual winners, it's a Cyclone sweep. Kaya Parker takes the vault trophy. Madeline Langkamp and Logan Boswell share the title on bars. Hannah Loyam, the top beam performer, and who else but Maddie Diab. She picks up her 6th event win in 8 meets for Iowa State this season with a 9.925. Still searching for that 10, Andrea.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a one-hit wonder. At the end of the day, she has that 10 in the bag every time. I feel like it's up to the judges whether they want to, you know, let it fly or not. But, you know, like I was telling you earlier, it's very interesting to see them thrive in a double meet weekend like this where they didn't really had a chance to have any downtime this weekend. So
both teams.
Yeah, they must be tired. They must be just ready to take a little bit of a day off. And altogether, both teams put up a really, really good performance. Cyclones on the vault and the floor, and then Alaska Anchorage on the beam, just excelling. I would say that's their best event all throughout the competition. It was really good to see.
For Andrea Maldonado and our entire Ames crew, I've been Noah Wolf saying so long from Hilton Coliseum, where the unofficial final score is Iowa State 195.525, Alaska Anchorage 192.5. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.